Will Africa's oldest liberation movement, the ANC, ever recover enough to be the favorite in the hearts of the electorate? That is the question. After losing support in the May elections, political pundits say the ANC may be going the way of similar liberation movements across the African continent. Founded more than a century ago, it lost its majority in parliament for the first time in 30 years, although it remains the country's most popular party by far. One of the first independence movements in Southern Africa to experience disdain for its history was Zambia's United National Independence Party, the UNIP, which came into power in 1964 as the British rule ended. Throughout most of the 1970s and 1980s, it governed the country, with founding father Kenneth Kaunda at the helm. But discontent grew, and in 1990, there were deadly protests in the capital Lusaka and a coup attempt. Other liberation movements in Angola, Mozambique, Namibia, and Zimbabwe remain in power, but all have experienced a decline in support and the vote share in the general elections. Zimbabwean scholar Professor Ibbo Mandaza says the time is up for the liberation movement in the region and elsewhere.
The liberation movements have long served their purpose. They should let go, allow a new leadership to emerge, to take us to the next stage, and stop singing this liberation struggle rhetoric.
On the prospect of the ANC staging a comeback, Mandaza believes the once admired liberation movement is nearing its end.
You have to be realistic 30 years after your so-called democracy, that the ANC has long served its purpose. It not revived to the same form it was during the time of the struggle. Impossible. It can be revived only under a different form, a different content, a new leadership. Now you can retain the name ANC, but it will be a different form and content altogether. As it was, no, it will never be. It's actually waning. It's almost at its end. It's almost dead, if I may put it that way. But for the individuals therein who have who represent the state in its current form, the ANC, like most political parties in Africa, are mere platforms now for elections.
He further says the ANC lost at the polls because of its complacency and its tendency to play down the signs that it could lose power.
I did warn my South African compatriots in 1993, 94, that guys, you're going to face the music soon. 30 years afterwards, I'm not surprised at all. Why? Because of the nature and content of the struggle in South Africa. A struggle which was accompanied by an international anti-apartheid movement with the Freedom Charter in the background and all its contradictions.
But the ANC remains steadfast in its belief that it will recover, as party spokesperson Zuko Kotlimbi stated earlier.
We are confident that we do have a baseline to think about the ANC's ability to claw back lost ground and eventually win.
In the neighboring Namibia, 2019 marked a watershed moment for the governing SWAPO as it lost its two-thirds parliamentary majority. In the 2014 presidential elections, it also suffered a serious decline in popularity, with its share of the vote dropping from 87% to 56%. The election expected to take place later this year will show if the decline has been arrested. Nhlanhla Khatlani, SABC News, Johannesburg.